quite different picks. I imagine the Wukong is going to be the first pick here now for LNG. Yeah, you get that for Tarzan, get that off of Aki.
Exactly, the same bands, but this time, instead of the blue one Zeri, it is going to be the Wukong, so Aki is most likely going to respond. I do like this Elise. If we do have the Tristana getting locked in for that mid-jungle duo, that is just so much early tempo going into the side of OMG, which is where Wukong is the weakest, so we'll have to see, as we do have a lot of bot laners open as well. It does look like the Xayah and Rakan once again for 1 and 2, but what is LNG going to respond with? Because I think LP, the Zeri isn't his most comfort champion, where we saw he was struggling to do a lot of DPS when it did come to those important 5v5s, where he looks a lot cleaner on something like the Aphelios, but that's something that they've decided to take away in the banning phase.
We'll see what they want to go for. I like this from OMG, kind of saying, look, Abel, you know, apart from that one little small mistake down on bot side where he flashed the wrong direction trying to get the kill onto LP, definitely looked very comfortable on the Xayah, give him a lot of safety in those late game team fights, and PPGod was able to get the exact kind of engages he needed on this Rakan, so really like that they're going for this one here. LNG, though, this time around, not going to go for the Jax. This time, they want to get Scout onto something that has priority, and OMG are saying, cool, well, we're giving something to Shanji, so you know what, we're going to change up the script a little bit.
You know what's really scary about Scout? Scout has only played 2 LeBlanc games so far, because this champion only recently became meta in patch 13.5, and teams have been perma-banning it ever since. So finally we get to see Scout on something that he is best at, and it is just the amount of mobility that this Wukong and LeBlanc is able to do, and just play with their gap closer when you are up against something like the Xayah. But it does seem like LNG banning out the mid lane champion pool now. Something like the Vega or even the Lissandra could be very detrimental if OMG decides to take that, because it does stop a lot of engage from this Wukong and LeBlanc. And with the Cassandra getting locked in for Shanty, Zika does have a lot of response options. You can play something like the Gwen, which did just get taken off, but I think the Renekton, you can just do a really even trade, and it is going to be up to that mid and jungle to really set up the tempo.
Well, now they can kind of ban away certain things here as well. I wouldn't mind, honestly, to see them ban away the Silas as well, get Cream onto something he's not, or maybe the Akali as well. Again, things like, you know, Cream can just kind of pop off on, have that agency to be his own carry. Is going to be the Silas taken away from him. The Jax and the Gwen banned away, so Shanji's going to have some kind of a decent matchup in that top lane, unless Zika decides he wants to go for something maybe like the Fiora. Highly doubtful, but you never know. Maybe the Camille as well, something he's played in previous seasons last year on IG, but OMG now could go with their jungler, could go with their mid laner, decide where they want to try and bring this last few bans coming in, because, or the last few picks. And it looks like they're happy to go with the Yone, which spells to me they're going with a Elise or a Maokai as the last pick. I would love to see the Maokai and let them just kind of let these carries be carries.
Yeah, I think Maokai would be the best in slot jungler for OMG's composition. It is going to be the Malphite lock-in for top lane. So when you are fighting Shanty, who is the Mountain Rooster, you quite literally pick the mountain to fight that guy. But support pick, you can just play something that is going to be able to peel for LP, as we saw that Hung was struggling a lot on that Nautilus from game 1. So something that does have an extra bit of range that can provide that shield to buff up the Zeri is most ideal. And it does seem like the Annie is going to get locked in. But OMG, they saved this last pick for jungle, which is something you don't ever see in the current patch. But like you said, Maokai, very good. You play something, or even the Sejuani could work, honestly. But I want to see the Maokai with the Elise, because you do want to make up for that lack of AP when it comes to the top lane trio, as you also want to be going that Sunfire build to have that extra bit of front line, so Abel is able to do as much damage as he can, because we saw from that game 1 he was going nuts.
Yeah, I mean, getting him onto something that he can able to, you know, kind of be comfortable on, a bit more extra engage, and kind of, look, the best way I can put it is that when OMG have Aki and PPGod on 2 champions that can follow each other in, be it with the, you know, Rakan Ultimate, or of course the Twisted Advance from the Maokai, that is the best version of OMG that I like to see. We do have LNG getting in the Annie support here, so a little bit more kind of, you know, instant burst, and honestly a lot of instant burst coming in here from LNG. You've got the Unstoppable Force, you have got the Tibbers to flash in forward with and get that burst down alongside the Cyclone from the Wukong. So plenty to be able to kind of set up a fight here from the side of LNG, but you are putting a lot more onus here onto LP. Again, last game he didn't find the opportunities to really plant his feet. He was constantly having to reposition, move away from the fight because everyone jumping on top of him. It's going to be on him to be able to try and fix that for this game, to give LNG that big kind of fighting chance in those 5v5s.
Yeah, LNG locking in a lot of go buttons for this 5v5. They are fighting fire with fire and looking to take over the game for those major objectives. But once again, Abel is on desire. So if he's able to pilot this, well, the Malphite and the initial engage from Annie is going to be diffused immediately. So it's all up to Scout how he's able to poke down the enemy laners with that W and of course the Q. But Cream, this game did lock in the Yone, so there's going to be a lot more split pushing pressure from the side of OMG, and hopefully we can commit to this type of playstyle and they don't play into the hands of LNG for this game too. A bit of a reverse, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. We're going to jump straight in onto the game now. OMG 1-0 up in the series. LNG seeing if they can book that trend. It was a hell of a game one. We'll see if they can keep up the kind of momentum coming into game number two. PP God straight away says, I know something's going to be happening. I'm not going to allow anybody or anything to happen to me, so I'm going to drop down a nearly little ward. It will get swept away, so, you know, not exactly a, you know, a fully lost endeavor from LNG. They will get a little bit of early XP, but still, nobody goes down. OMG get the information they wanted and that they need to make sure they know where Tarzan is going to be.
Yeah, once again, Shanzi being very sneaky and placing a ward down on the blue buff, so as long as they're able to spot out Tarzan around all his camps, they should be able to avoid those very early on ganks. But of course, we have this Annie for this game too, and how she is going to utilize this stun can provide a lot of angles as Hung on support. He loves roaming towards that mid lane. Despite whatever champion, I believe I saw him playing Nami and he still roamed. He just pressed E for Scout and Scout just nay-nayed on the enemy team because he's just Scout. He's so good. So as long as you're able to play with that tempo and look for those tiny kills that can get you tiny gold leads, that's what LNG is trying to obtain.
Well, late ward onto the blue, like you mentioned there from Shanji, does mean he'll know exactly where this jungle is going to be in the next few seconds. So good information already from OMG, doing a little bit of homework to make sure they know exactly where the LNG jungler is going to be starting. Scout is going to have the priority here. Naturally, is the way when it comes to range versus melee matchups. And we're going to keep an eye on top lane, because if you didn't get to watch Top Esports versus OMG, Shanji on the Cassante was exceptional. And speaking of being exceptional, Hong, double flash, the cleanse, and the first blood. OMG, Abel and PP God recognizing when they have the power.
I was saying don't look mid lane, but don't look bot lane, because Hung starting that E as the Annie just has no fighting power up against OMG's bottom lane. How they're committing 4 summoners, so if Tarzan is able to stop the bleeding and gank this Xayah and Rakan, Hung is already getting caught out of position, and that's huge for OMG. First ball going into Abel.
I mean, this is just them saying, look, we're level 1, you're level 1. Once you use your stun, you've nothing left. Literally, you have absolutely nothing. And he took and started E!
He doesn't have the stun, so PP God and Abel just flash forward and ordered this Annie to death as LP having that cleanse, not even the heal. Nothing from the side of LNG's bottom lane. And that is just a very bad misplay from the support, but hopefully they can cut the bleeding because Tarzan can still look bottom lane with that cleanse off for Abel.
I mean, that's just that was straight up just OMG's bot lane calling out, saying like, we don't believe you have an offensive ability, and Hung gonna be like, no, I do. Look, it's charged. Don't worry, it's definitely there. Don't attack me. And unfortunately for him, they call his bluff, and he goes down. So definitely not an ideal situation there for the LNG bot lane. And great start for OMG, and this is the kind of momentum that we always talk about when it comes to the the playoffs, especially with the gauntlet that is the LPL. This level of play that can come out is so pivotal to being able to kind of, keep that run going. Get yourself, yes, you're in an early round, but as long as you're in the playoffs, you have a chance.
Yeah, morale is so important when it comes to back-to-back games. And I believe on social media, we saw that Scout was talking to Maker and their thoughts of this series up against OMG, and Scout wasn't feeling the most confident, and that's not what we expect, because OMG, they came in as that 6th seed, as LNG is 3rd, so you never expect and such a big upset. But from the bottom lane 2v2, you already see that Hung is such a shaky player so far, so hopefully he can mellow out and play towards LNG's wing punch, which is just playing for those major objectives.
Let's draw back of the feathers there. Zabel kind of cleans back up some of these minions. We'll say because Hung was the one that died, it means that you're able to get LP a little bit of a advantage in terms of the XP, so not too bad in all things said and done. It is only first blood as well. Doesn't mean the world in terms of anything really for the moment. But with those flashes down on the OMG bot lane, we will be waiting to see if they do get a gank coming in from Aki. It's hard. Sorry, not from Aki, from Tarzan. It's hard for Tarzan, honestly, to really do anything pre-6. Does need that Cyclone to have any kind of real impact, you would imagine. And that's what they're going to be trying to do right now. They're going to be going forward. Oh, Hong. He's going down. One more auto attack. PP God even tried to leave it for Abel, but he said, all right, you had one auto. You missed. It doesn't matter. Another kill goes over. This is when it starts to become significantly bad.
This is really bad for LNG. LP's... I mean, I get the idea. Hung wanted to freeze the wave, but not in front of PP God's face. Especially in a choke where Hung was in between the Rakan and the wall. He had nowhere to go. And Abel, of course, stopping his back. He saw the Annie getting caught out. And this was just disrespect from the support of LNG. Zaya was backing out of the bush and he was still trying to go for the freeze. And it just doesn't work because OMG punishing these mistakes so easily. And that's 2 kills. Oh, well, 2 kills going over to OMG, but PP God being PP God, kill secured for this Rakan.
I mean, hey, look, I'm a defend my support brother right now and say that, like, he said, look, if the feathers fly back and you get it, that's awesome. If not, I'm taking the kill. That's what happened. That was just how it went. So we'll see. Again, more pressure coming out here by the OMG bot lane just to try and get themselves so far ahead. And you can see the difference already. Is a high noon quiver alongside that Cole. So it's going to be such an early item spike coming out here for Abel. And this is the thing, the Zaya isn't an early game champion necessarily. She's not someone like a Lucian with a Nami who's able to kind of burst you down, get that poke off and move forward. She is someone who does rely very much heavily on having those Navori quick blades, having the extra little bit of movement and cooldown on her ultimate in the later levels. So getting these early kind of movements here from OMG means just they're kind of giving themselves a nice little bit of a bank for their bot lane to say, look, cool, we're happy and we know we're going to have a little bit of extra time later on the game to get those big item spikes.
And you can't have the Zaya fed because if the Zaya is fed, then the Wukong and Malphite are just completely useless. Shanji going in for the 1v1, forcing Zuka to ult out. Honestly, respect, but I didn't expect the Malphite to need to do that, as it is going to be the first Dragon started by OMG. No ultimates available just quite yet for the bottom lane.
Oh, flash burnt by Cream as he doesn't want anything to do with the LeBlanc right now. Tarzan looking to see if he can get in here, but not really going to gain anything. Hung flashes in, gets the stun onto Aki. They do trade that one back. OMG not exactly delighted with losing a kill, but they do gain the early dragon instead.
As long as LNG is able to stop the bleeding, which they do pick up a kill, they didn't just give over the objective for free. That is a start. But I've been saying that this Zaya can't be fed because Malphite and Wukong are just going to get erased from these 5v5s. But Scout doing so well on this LeBlanc. I think he's landed every single chain so far, Oshin.
Almost, I'm sure. But 20 CS lead going to be it. And it's pushing into him as well. That's only going to get bigger in favor of Scout in that mid lane. And look, it is kind of the nature of the beast sometimes. You are going to be struggling into a melee matchup, as a melee into a ranged matchup. But this is a different level of pain coming out now for Cream. As you can see that massive wave in the mid lane just pushing into him. So much being lost here. They know there's no ultimate here on Zika, so they may look to try and catch him out in this top side. Aki would love to have level 6 before he goes for this. It's very difficult to really secure anything right now.
Yeah, we do need level 6 online for both of these junglers. Tarzan does hit it after that Gromp, as the next objective is going to be this Herald, but I think with Shanti in his current stage, he will offer a lot more compared to this Malphite because you just have that extra bit of damage. As LNG, once you pull the trigger, you can't really... it's like the instant regret button. You can't go back. So LNG need to take their fights very carefully. And this is going to look like a 2v2 for this Herald, but Scout is getting consistent push up against this Yone.
Yeah, consistent push, consistent pressure, and we'll say it's a bit of a blessing there for OMG to get the first dragon of the game, as Shanji is happy to stay in this top lane. Yeah, I mean, can't really do much. It's still against Shanji, who they probably think is roughly right about now getting his all-out back. So definitely not something you want to be giving over to someone, especially an escape route in these particular trying times for LNG. Rift Herald is going to be started up here by OMG, and they're going to try and maybe get this one as best they possibly can. Nice little bit of a skate along the wall there for LP. But this is going to be difficult now, you would imagine, for OMG to really try and fully confirm. It's going to be a full 5v5 once these top laners get involved, and Cream hasn't had the best of opportunities to get involved either from mid.
Yeah, Scout is still pushing in that mid lane, so Cream is going to be a little bit late if OMG does decide to take the 5v5, but Shandy being here first, he does not care about his wave, perhaps even zoning out the Malphite.
Oh, they catch down on top of Tarzan and he's dead. And they get the double knockoff. It's a triple fate seal. Cassante can join in as well. The Annie is dead. It's a 2 for nothing. Cassante gets the knockback onto LP, but these health bars are so low. The Rift Herald was secured, I believe, by the side of OMG. It's a 2-for-1 trade in their favor. Abel, not quite able to get taken out. Just get the feathers fly. LP, not quite able to finish it off. It ends up being a 2-for-1 still with the Rift Herald going in favor of OMG, but man, those health bars were low.
LNG just don't look like they know what they're doing in these team fights. They're playing into the hands of OMG. Look at this choke. They gave the perfect opportunity for Cream to land a 3-man ultimate onto the entire backline of LNG, and the value from PP God's flash stun as well was insane. Malphite not doing too much because you are just Desire having her roots as well. I mean, you can't let OMG to engage the fight first because they know what they're doing.
That's a 2-0-2 now onto Abel. He is very much rocketing himself towards that first item. Rift Herald in back pocket as well. Would love to see that just kind of put back into the Zaya, just to try and get her as far ahead as possible, because that's your win condition right now. That is where you're going to be able to win this game here as OMG, through this Zaya, through this combination of damage and just early game pressure.
I'm worried, Oshin. First Herald, first Dragon, also spawning, or second Dragon, sorry, spawning in 50 seconds. OMG getting the Tavern on very early on. As Scout on this LeBlanc, you want to be looking for those mid-game skirmishes, because I think as the game goes on, Desire is going to have so much defensive items, and of course this Yone is also going to have the Immortal Shield Bow. It's going to be hard to one-shot someone. So Tarzan and Scout really need to start looking for picks before they opt into these 5v5s, because PP God on the engaged support is just finding so many more angles compared to Hung, who was level 5.
Yeah, I mean, still level 5. Still hasn't hit the Tibbers just yet. We'll have Flash available to him, so once he hits a level 6, which has just crested over, they should be able to get it. Did they get that turret plate? I don't believe they did, and it did go down, so that's a bit unfortunate there for the OMG bot lane. Weren't able to secure that one there for themselves. Tarzan shows himself in this bot lane, but the Lovers duo get themselves a nice, easy recall. And that, honestly, I feel like that, it's like, regardless of everything else that comes out from the Zaya Rakan combination, the fact that you can recall together is so busted in my eyes. Like, just getting those nice little resets.
You know, Riot released this new Zaya and Rakan skin. I don't remember what it's called. It's called, like, it starts with C.
Broken Covenant.
Yes, but Riot decided to remove the animation for the Lovers Toy recall. And that is, I don't know why. Just do it. They have the same matching skins. I can understand if, you know, the Zaya and the Rakan doesn't get a matching skin, but just do it, man. You can't break them up like that, forcibly.
I mean, it's a sad day for couples everywhere. I myself, as a single Pringle, don't care, but it's a sad day for couples everywhere. But oh, this could be a nice engage. They're going to jam the home. PP God looking for more. They're going to pop out the Maokai ultimate as well. The Tibbers did absolutely nothing, and the Annie is dead. Dragon's still alive. Tarzan and Scout is here, but Zika has made his way down. They will have Shanji TP in as well, so it's a 5v4 in favor of OMG. They did lose a lot of ultimates there. They're going to try and see if they can catch out Tarzan, who's taking just free damage now in this Dragon Pit. Has to use the decoy to get himself out. So once OMG committed to the Dragon, that was all there was to it. Abel will be able to jump down to the spot side as well to pick up all these plates alongside Shelly. And this is OMG, honestly, just kind of owning LNG right now.
Yeah, Hung is getting really exposed for just the way he's positioned, getting punished every single time he is caught out. I think PP God just looks like the more proactive one, as his Annie value is just going down so significantly. Now sitting on 2 dragons, they are working towards that 3rd soul point, which is going to be, I believe, the Ocean, or Hextech. Oh!
You know what? When you have all these point-and-click CCs, just kill Leone. Didn't even give him an opportunity to flash out of that and use his ultimate, so they get a kill back. It's kind of a small silver lining of what's a very dark cloud.
Is it enough though? Because I believe Scout did go for the Liandry, so that is just not enough damage to ever one-shot someone. Unless you dumpster pile all the ultimates onto Cream once again, which I can see happening onto Desire, but we need to remember that Abel has that ultimate ability as well. So If LNG is able to look for a sneaky play without vision, then they can catch Abel off guard. But these side lanes, they're just gonna move Abel towards that mid lane, and they're gonna just force 5v5s once again because PP God, he engaged onto Annie without burning the flash.
Yeah, it feels like I don't think he had the flash to engage, so it's small little things. And these flash timings being so off as well are really hurting LNG right now. You lost the flash off of Hong, which means he doesn't have his flash timbers anymore, so he's not going to have that for, you know, at least the next Dragon fight. With the next Herald spawning in 50 seconds, that's a key cooldown. That's a key moment here. And look, on the other side of this, you look at everyone else in LNG. Scout's got 30 CS, 1-0-1. He's doing fine. You know, he's actually, you know, ahead of the curve in terms of the item completion, but it doesn't matter because you're giving over so much else to, you know, the rest of OMG.
Don't look at the item mythic difference, Oshin. It is going to be so tough if LNG decides to compete for this Herald. As we also already have Aki in position, so I don't know how Tarzan is going to walk in because he has been the one dying first in all these team fights. If LNG doesn't engage first and they let OMG do whatever they want, it is always going to be a losing fight for them, and they need to let Scout poke down the enemy team with this Haunting Guys and of course the W to really get a winning fight for them. But this game state, it's looking a little bit tough.
Looking very tough right now. Do the Radiant Virtue finish up for Aki. Tarzan has got the Divine Sunderer as Rift Herald does get started and gets spotted. LNG know fully well what's going on here, and it looks like they're trying to mount up a little bit of a defense. It's going to be difficult though. Child already down at 3,000 HP. You don't have the upgraded smite for either jungler, so it's 900. Scout kind of gets jumped on a little bit here, but they move backwards and it's going to be stolen away. Tarzan gets that alongside Zika, but Zika now in a bit of a trouble. The Cleanse comes in, the double knock off, and Cream goes in with your fate being sealed. Scout was not part of this fight, and it's going to be a double into a single as 3 more kills go over to the side of LNG.
And Shinji goes in for more!
He's not done just yet, but he may have gone a little bit too far. Flash from Scout keeps LNG just about in this one, but OMG, they don't gain the Rift Herald, but they gain the fight.
Is OMG really going to 2-0 this game? Abel 5-0 now getting the Herald out. The Herald goes over to the enemy team, but they get so much gold into Abel's pockets. I believe the Malphite was only onto PP God, but PP God doesn't care. He just flash ults in, lands it onto 3 people, and Cream, with the amount of setup that OMG is able to provide, this is just such a clean fight from this team. And we just don't see the same amount of proactiveness from LNG and Scout on this LeBlanc with the Haunting Guys. You need to let her poke before LNG ever find these opportunities. But Shanti getting a little bit too excited, does try to go for the kill onto LP, but thankfully Scout's still alive to finish off this caught out of position Cassante, but I don't think that's enough to bring back the gold lead that they've made.
That is a 5-0-3 Xayah. Navori Quick Blades finished off. This is a late game Xayah now at this stage. You're coming up to another dragon fight in 36 seconds. And honestly, if I'm OMG, yes, you just use a load of ultimates. They're going to be back. That's the crazy thing. You're going to have the Feather Storm. You're going to have the quickness. You just don't have an opportunity to kind of rest right now as LNG. And this is what we saw in game number 1 as well, is that when the game went stagnant, it was all LNG. They were smarter. They were moving around far more cohesively as a unit. But when the game's chaotic, when the game feels like it's all about how LNG, you know, or how OMG can just kind of play fast and loose, OMG or LNG just don't know what to play with.
Yeah, I think LNG just looks so lost when it comes to their early to mid-game skirmishes. If the enemy forces something, they just play it right into their hands. OMG being one of our best and most aggressive early game teams. They love forcing those 5v5s, and LNG getting caught out of position every single time. Zika.
Dante is on a flank. We're going to see Shirley pushing it on that top side. We'll get another charge off, you would imagine. So she gets to do her favorite thing twice. There comes Nature's Grasp to try and set it all up. The dragon gets secured here by OMG as Rakan does go down the face seal to try and keep everyone off of Abel, who's just putting down the feathers. Zika dead. Tarzan next. It's a double kill coming over to the Xayah. Shanji keeps everyone else away. Triple kill coming in from Abel as he moves forward. LNG, Scout, and LP, the only ones left. They're trying to move back into this. A 2v1 quadra kill as Abel looks for one more. He chooses wrong, and he's chasing down Scout, the red buff doing the work. He jumps backwards. No pentakill, but will the Maokai sapling? Touchdown! Full ace and a dragon. Abel with the quadra kill.
No, I wanted wanted to call the pentakill, Oshin. I know you wanted to call the pentakill, but Scout, if he's gonna go out, he is never going to let Abel get that penta. That is so sad. But I think LNG, they no longer can stop the bleeding. Look at this fight. It was the perfect engage. You have Tarzan flashing onto the backline, but Zuka not getting anything connected onto Desire. Scout also just staring across the wall. Not enough follow-up from the side of LNG, and Abel having that Kraken and avoiding it is impossible to play. And when you know Azai playing forward, that is when you know this game is pretty much over, because their team composition, you can't have the Zaya fed, and that's exactly what he is. 9-0 now.
I mean, again and again, we're just seeing all these ultimates. We talked about it, the flash in with the Tibbers, the Unstoppable Force, the Cyclone. If none of them land on the most fed member, the 904 Zaya, they literally mean nothing. Look at that damage. He did more damage in that team fight than everybody else on his team.
PPGod did 0. That was a 4v5. Man just got caught out and stared at his ADC as he towers everyone in that damage trace. But now Barret is available. No flash for Abel, but he still saved the cleanse. And we saw from that team fight, the Malphite, the Wukong ult, both didn't touch the Zaya once. And with so many abilities committed, you can't press the anti-regret button because you can't. You don't have the disengage as hung on this Annie. You don't see the value.
This is rough right now as an LNG fan, but for OMG, you're going to the moon right now. OMG, PPGod should be able to stay alive as Cream is there to kind of defend him. Scout will distort his way away from the fight, but 5,000 gold up, Dragon Soul available to you in 2 minutes 20 seconds, and honestly, like, OMG have just gone from strength to strength. It just feels like they found their rhythm. They know how they want to play, and for Cream and the rest of his team, Cream is just kind of waiting off in here. Oh, he got baited! He got baited by the one cannon minion as the rest of the team are here. He's trying to run away. The TP's going to come back off of this. They're all running up here. They said, you want to try and bully our mid laner? Get lost. You ain't going to be able to do nothing against this guy. They're all going to try and disengage.
Aki.
There comes the Nature's Grasp. As Aki tries to catch some people out, they're going to catch 2 of them, but it's not Scout. That's the big thing. Abel and PPGod are here. As Abel goes a little bit far forward, he jumped perfectly away from the feathers. As Zika finds a 2-man. They get the lightning crash down, and they finally take down Abel. It's all a little bit too fast, a little bit too loose, and now OMG, they got to defend this Baron.
This is your only angle, LNG. The ADC is dead. You have to force this 4v5 now. But Cream not having that ultimate available does seem like they're going to finish this.
Well, LeBlanc's going to have to immediately distort away, and that's exactly what happens there. Fate unbound as Tarzan goes back in on top of him, trying to make something work. PPGod has gone down and is dead. There is more kills going over. The Cassante looking for some more as well. LP flashes and cleanses away from Shanji. These health bars are low, and Abel is coming back up. I don't think you can go for this Baron, but you gain yourself a little bit of gold back.
But that's Hextech Soul in 1 minute. And OMG, they can reset with this tempo. I think that was really the only angle that LNG could have gotten the Baron, because now you're going to go up against the Zaya once again. Flash available very soon, but we see this fight. OMG too confident as they were way too overextended with only 1 cannon minion to commit to this dive. But Abel, he thought he did something cool. He dodged the Annie ult. But what does that mean? Well, Zuka is TPing from the back, and he landed a double ultimate onto the backline of OMG, and LNG catching this lovers duo out of position was the angle for them to find a way back into the game. But they need to do that 3 more times, because this Zaya pick, we see it doing great for OMG, or it is going to be the reason why they're going to lose this game.
Yeah, got a little bit caught out, started feeling himself a little bit, OMG. They were definitely starting to come at it a little bit too aggressively. As we come back into live, Bloodthirster has been finished up for Abel. Will have his flash and his ultimate back up off of cooldown now that the Dragon is live. LNG have put themselves in this backside. Tarzan's been spotted out and he knows it, so he's just going to have to try and clear that ward, get himself away. These Hex Gates will give some decent exposure for LNG to try and work with. They have got plenty of mobility to move across these maps. The Scout kind of gets caught out a little bit there by PPGod, but no follow-up engage. Now, OMG can just lead this. They've got a top wave that's pushing against them. Mid lane pushing in for them, so they have options available to them. It looks like they really want to try and go for this fight.
OMG, they are looking for that 5v5. You don't need to secure the Hex Soul, so LNG are really the ones being pressured here. Zuko stepping out of position. He does get caught out.
He does. TP God trying to jump in there. Cream is already dead. The Nature's Grass does land on the tree, but LP hasn't been caught by this. Zika gets traded back, so it's a mid laner for a top laner. That's your front line kind of down right now. The Feathers go flying, and the Dragon's secure. The Hex Soul. Featherstorm comes in as Abel needs to try and stay alive away from Tarzan, but he goes
Abel's
down.
dead.
LP getting jumped on here. The double stun means that Shanji and PP God can't continue onward, but Tarzan is dead. PP God going in again, trying to make this one work, but Shanji has gone down. The Bramble Smash won't do anything as Aki is now running for his life. Abel will bring him down, you would imagine, but is it going to be another touchdown? Not quite. PP God trying to see if he can stay away. No way! No way! Oh, he's a sneaky little ninja, and he gets himself out there with some Nujitsu.
He's a sneaky little god. How does he just dodge Scout perfectly? I mean, that is an amazing turnaround for LNG as all the kills go into LP's hand. Really good targeting from this team, and they kill Abel straight away. They realize once the ADC is dead, well, this team doesn't have too much damage anymore because Cream, he was the first one to go down, and Zuko was trying to avoid so much vision, and that is a 4v5 from the beginning, but Scout just being such a nuisance to the backline of OMG. They were just getting pressured for this entire fight. However, they did get the Hex Soul.
TP coming in here. They've got 4v5 coming in. You can see the Maokai over the top. They just can't take it quick enough. They're going to see a flash in, try to catch out onto Abel, but there's no follow-up damage. Scout gets caught up with the Fate Seal. Shanji trying to jump on top of him. They're trying to throw everything right now at Abel. Nature's Grass comes out across everybody. Zika gets caught out, and he will be burned down. There's nothing you can do there. The Malphite is not rock solid. Neither is the Monkey King. And LNG, they had to throw a Hail Mary. They lost the Dragon Soul. They needed to try and find a fight where they had a numbers advantage, and they lose so much more.
I'm getting deja vu, Oshin. They just lost the same 5v5 fight, the exact same choke, and OMG coming out on top again, getting the Baron as well. I don't know how LNG is going to stop the bleeding now, because this Zai is just way too out of control. I mean, even if the Zai gets targeted down, this Yone and Cassante are now online, where if you compare the Cassante and the Malphite, well, the only thing the Malphite is really providing is just CC, but Cassante, on the other hand, is going to be able to solo kill LP because he doesn't have too much healing. But Cream landing the ultimate onto Scout, everyone focusing down this LeBlanc straight away, not dying, however, but this LeBlanc is out of the fight. Aki on this Maokai pick just provides so much zoning, and Zuko always being the one dying first, as OMG, they're just such a great front-to-back team fighting.
Well, Zika had to use his ult defensively. I was going to say, remember we were talking about how Zika's always the one to die first. It almost happened again, as OMG, it's going to be a mad goal grab for them coming back into this one here, but they are just looking so confident. We talked about the mojo all the time here in the LPL. This is mojo. This is when you're just feeling good about where you're going. It doesn't matter what prep is coming in here from LNG. They're picking blue side. They're getting the bans they want against Shanji because they know that he's a win condition. And Zika dies first one more time. No ult, no flash, no escape. OMG are wiping the floor with LNG. They don't care about the regular season. They are looking for double elimination.
And the sad thing is that both LP and Scout are sitting on 4-1 KDAs. They're pressing tab and they see their topside support in jungle, and the only emoji I can describe this as troll despair. How do you play this fight anymore? LDR picked up for Abel as well. This Zeri only having 3 items isn't going to have enough damage to chop down the front line of OM God. Oh my god, OM God? I don't know anymore.
You are God, apparently, as self-proclaimed, as we come back into what is going to be happening now. Look, you've got 2 inhibitors. You go down bot lane. It is just OMG all the time. You know, they've 50 seconds left on this Baron. They've got the quickness to come in here now. Scout might be in a hell of a lot of trouble. He does have a distortion to try and run away from this, but can you run away? That is the question. And the answer is no, Kitty. You cannot run away. No. He's trying his absolute hardest, but you're just so far behind now.
Hex Soul Baron, and this is where the LeBlanc really starts finding issues when it comes to these team fights. Maokai is going to be the last thing you see before you die. And I don't think Scout is going to have a very wonderful game. Only LP can really carry LNG to come back in this game. But OMG, they're just going to force a 4-1 with this Yone.
I mean, you can. You've got Baron for another 10 seconds. No one's going to stop you without the LeBlanc. You can't cover both lanes. The Zeri will have enough trying to deal with one super minion wave, let alone two. 3 inhibitors down. OMG just doing so well in this game, and they don't have to leave if they don't want to. Yes, they lost the Baron, but there's not another minute till Elder. Why not have a little bit more fun?
That's triple inhib for the side of OMG, and they're just gonna slowly suffocate it. I mean, if you don't want to end the game here, you can also work towards that Elder, because there's no way LNG is gonna be able to walk forward.
No, Scout being zoned away as well. Tarzan tries to go in.
Oh,
Zika misses the ultimate. Doesn't hit a single soul. And he will fall down. Tarzan and him just haven't been able to find the mark. The flash in from Hong is desperation at its finest. OMG 2-0 up in this series and 1 game away from double elimination.
Zuka misses all 3 ultimates in those major objectives, and it looks like a 3-for-0 for Oh My God, and this morale from the ADC is insane, and they can't shut him down, Oshin.
No, they cannot, and it does feel like LNG have to completely reformulate the plan. The plan with the bans, the picks, it's